Hi, my name's John. Welcome to the first in a series of videos all about restoring this vintage Stuart and Turner steam engine. The first thing I like to say is a massive thanks to one of my viewers, a lad called Stuart Bell. He was down London on business and he picked this engine up for me and dropped it off at my door completely free of charge as a gesture towards the channel. I'd give him one or two little bits and pieces to go away with, but it saved me a load of grief, a load of hassle. It's here now. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it, a general view around it, and then we'll start by pulling the cylinder head off. The engine is solid, it doesn't turn over. I knew that when I bought it, but basically it is complete. This is one of 249 engines that were built. This one's number 224. It's basically designed to run a generating set, a compressor, a cooling fan. It's basically a 1937 version of an electric motor, because most places had steam and all it needs is a steam supply to make it work. It's not a model, it's a full-size engine rated at 2 horsepower at 1000 RPM. It's got a built-in governor, a built-in oil pump, basically completely sealed high-speed steam engine. I'll bring the camera in, have a look around it, show you all the bits and pieces, and then I'm going to take the cylinder head off and see what evils lie inside there. Things are quite oily on the outside, so that's looking promising. That's the exhaust port there, and that is nice and oily, which is also a really good thing. It's got a 12-inch flywheel on the end with a double belt drive. The engine's 22 inches tall and it weighs about 140 pounds. It's quite a heavy unit. That's a dipstick. It's a crankcase door. There's 2 little valves on here. What these are for, it's in case the cylinder gets water in, they're relief valves that will open to save it damaging the engine. There's a little oil pump there that pumps oil into the cylinder. There's a pipe missing from there. It goes into the top of that governor. Unfortunately the top's missing and there's quite a lot of crud in there to be cleaned out. That's a steam exhaust port. This is part of the governor mechanism. That's the actual valve in there, and that's part of the governor mechanism that appears to be made of brass. That's your steam stop valve. There's cylinder drain valves. When you initially start the engine, you open them, lets any condensation out, and that little tube there connects all the condensation and it runs away down there. There's a little valve there with a pipe on, an oil feed, I'm assuming, and that's the other crankcase door. As I said before, the engine is locked solid. Just with standing, I don't know, it's probably the piston that got it. But the first thing to do is take the cylinder head off and have a look inside it. Looking around it, all the nuts are intact, they haven't been rounded off, it hasn't been bastardised, it's just been taken out to service and stored. I don't know how much use it's had, probably not a great lot. So we'll have the head off and see what lives inside of there. Obviously all the fastenings are Whitworth, I would imagine, Whitworth and BSF. That'll be a lump of cast iron. These are just tin cladding sheets. That's too fine a thread for Whitworth, so there must be BSF. Looking for somewhere to try and get a purchase on it. That was easier than I thought. Right, that's a good sign. So the top of the bowl is covered in oil, and that valve is also full of oil, so it must be the bottom part of the piston that's seized. That's very nice to see. That's 2 drain plugs missing out of the bottom of the crankcase. It's possible condensation is getting in there, and that's what's caused all the problems. Right. I think I'll take some of these ancillary parts off now so I can move it around, try and make it a little bit lighter. And these little valves are free as well. But these are the sort of things that would get easily damaged, this little valve here as well. So we'll take off as many ancillary parts as we possibly can. I have got plenty of Whitworth and BSF and UNF spanners. And copper seal and washer, just straightforward pressure relief valve. The 2 little holes there that allow the water to escape. All this will polish up really nicely. Right, that doesn't want to play, we'll leave that alone for the minute. That would be asbestos, I would imagine, on there. Take this governor assembly off complete. A little split pin in there, a little cotter pin in there. Right, I cannot resist it. Need to have a look inside the crankcase. Got the Stuart on there from the name Stuart Turner. That's not very nice in there. Right, I can't resist it. Need to have a look inside the crankcase. Right, that's not very nice in there. Right, I can't resist it. Need to have a look inside the crankcase. Right, that's not very nice in there. Need to have a look inside the crankcase. Right, that's not very nice in there. Need to have a look inside the crankcase. Right, that's not very nice in there. Need to have a look inside the crankcase. Right, that's not very nice in there. Need to have a look inside the crankcase. Right, that's not very nice in there. Need to have a look inside the crankcase. Right, that's not very nice in there. Need to have a look inside the crankcase. Right, that's not very nice in there. Need to have a look inside the crankcase. Right, that's not very nice in there. Need to have a look inside the crankcase. Right, that's not very nice in there. Need to have a look inside the crankcase. Right, that's not very nice in there. Need to have a look inside the crankcase. Right, that's not very nice in there. Need to have a look inside the crankcase. Right, that's not very nice in there. Need to have a lot of condensation in there. That doesn't look very pretty at all. It's the same technology they use on a mud hole door on a boiler, that. And it's the bottom end that appears to be seized. Quite rusty and nasty in there. Not to worry. Yeah, unfortunately those have been left open, and whether water's getting in there or I don't know. Right, we'll take the other one off. This is an oil pump. Not very nice at all in there. Full of all kinds of rust and crap. Bring the camera and get a closer look. Right, so it's not very pretty in there. That's the big end bearing, and that is the eccentric that works the valve. That bronze, that bit there. A lot of crap in the bottom. This is the speed controller or governor. I'm going to take this end cover off, see what lives in there. If anybody's got any information on these or any drones, it would be really useful to get in touch with us. Oh, rusty. There's a big spring there, that would be the part of the governor. Quite a fearsome lump. I'll bring the camera in so you can get a closer look at that. It's a great shame that those plugs are missing out the bottom of the crankcase, and it's allowed water to get into it or whatever, and it's caused all this. But I'm still sure we'll be able to make something out of it. That I know we will. We need to start getting parts off so we can see how things work. To get this part off here will be quite nice. I'll disconnect some of these parts off the governor and then have a go at that in case, I think. Pin through there. That's a little spring It'll control the engine revs. I wasn't expecting to see that inside there, but never mind, it is what it is. I did buy it as a project, and I think we've certainly got one now. It's a brass nut, that. Little collar pin through there as well. Some of these bits are still nice and oily, nice and free. And I had two engines for sale. There was this one and a one that actually ran, but I wanted this for a video project, just for the pleasure of being able to restore it, really. All these little bits and pieces of brass or bronze or whatever. I don't know if this end will come off complete. I'll take the nuts off and then go from there, I think. That stud there that goes into the crankcase, it's just rotted away. That's all the nuts off that. I think this part may come off. We'll give it a gentle exploratory bit. The tap, right, it does. Oh, this is lovely. That's the governor there, the weights that fly out. It's seized, it's messy, but it's not a lost cause by any means. I'm sure we'll be able to do something with this. The money I paid for the bastard thing, I'll have to. The bronze gear in there. Yeah, it's had water in, it's been standing somewhere and the water's getting in them holes, and that's what's caused all the damage. What a shame. You see the build up in the bottom of there, that's just shite where water's been lying in it. I don't know why the drain plugs were taken out, but they have been. Everything's absolutely solid. We'll probably need heat and things on to get this apart. Just slowly work my way through it. There's like a 2-inch build up of crap in the bottom. all that. It's not what I wanted to see really. I was thinking I might have just had a sealed piston, but it's a lot more than that. Right then. So we can get this oil pump off, I think, next. There's also a joint in the crankcase there and there. These two nuts will have to come off. That looks like it might need a little bit of warmth. You see how the governor works. This is spinning around and these weights fly out and they'll push this brass thrust washer against that fork which is connected to this arm, and that's what will work the steam valve. You see the build up of shite in the bottom there, that's where water's been lying. You can actually see a line there. I'm hoping that the cylinder bore, the bottom part of the bore will be alright. Right, next we'll try and get this oil pump off. Not quite sure how that works, but there's obviously a shaft goes through there. That shaft in there must revolve, it's driven by that gear, and that's what drives the oil pump. Yeah, I'll take some bolts out and come back a little bit later on. I'll just leave the camera running, fuck it. We're going to need some heat on this, definitely. It's messy in there, very messy. Be really careful, these don't snap off. Nice and oily, that one. Right, that one's I think that's just to drain that one. Yeah. Not quite sure what goes on in there. I really need some drones or something for this. A little plunger pump in there. That's just a drain, that one I'm sure it is. But these two here. Right, I've managed to get the bolts out of there and there's a little bit of movement taking place. There's a little ratchet and pole in here for the oil pump, which isn't a real sorry looking state for itself. Right. It's part of the oil pump, little brass pole. There'll be a plunger in there somewhere. Oh damn me, I didn't want to see this. I really didn't want to see this like this. Look at the state of that bastard lot coming out of there. Oh, John. Right. That's just pumped element in the bottom of there. Oh dear God. Aye. We've got some work cut out here. Yeah. Because this has had no lid on, the water's obviously pissed into there. It's been standing in water. What a shame. There's a whole video involving just sorting this oil pump out. But I will sort it. I think we need this bit off next, these nuts off, and I definitely need some heat on to get this lot moving. You see that's water in there. When I took the head off and I saw the oil on top of the pistons, I thought, oh, this is going to be good, but it's not good. It's not good. Dear me. The rust and crap coming over there. Yeah, can't do any harm, can it? There's a WD 40 into there. I think that's enough. I've seen enough. Yeah, I've seen enough. I wear gloves all day at work. I come home and do this. Right. This shaft, it spins round on here. It's got a plunger to an oil pump off that centric on the in there. There's an oil pipe goes off there, and it appears to feed the front and back main bearings. And that's an oil sight glass up there. So it's actually a pressure fed bottom end on it. Whether the crank has a drill into the big end, I don't know. I'm hoping that the big end and the crankshaft will be alright. it's actually stopped on half stroke, which means the crankshaft, or at least the big end bearing, is being out of the water, which is a good thing, I suppose. Just a pity there wasn't some of that in the crankcase instead of rusty water. I wanted a challenge, I've certainly got a bastard now.